Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here in the state of Maryland, so it is afternoon. Good morning, good evening for you guys. It depends on where you guys at. And my name is Farkish. I'm a business development consultant and qualified. And today we're gonna explore accessibility testing. Yes, this is a hot topic these days. We got a different type of testing, but today we're gonna focus on accessibility testing. We're gonna talk about what it is. We're gonna talk about why is it important and who's gonna be benefiting from accessibility testing, both individual and businesses. So this session, I actually designed this so it benefits everybody, whether you're in the tech world, whether you're a developer, tester, test manager, architect, or if you're not in a non-technical world, if you're working in the sales department or you have any career field and you just, for some reason, interested to learn more about accessibility testing and you're here, welcome, welcome. So don't worry about it. If you can turn on your computer and open a browser and yell at your browser when something doesn't work, congratulations, you're more than qualified to be here. All right, so let's talk about what is accessibility testing. So I'm going to make it short and very, very simple. Well, before I actually get into this, we do have a QA session at the end of this webinar. For those of you guys that have any question, and I mean, you can leave your comment at the bottom right of your webinar session. It should be activated. But at the end, we're going to have a QA session. I highly recommend, encourage you guys to actually attend that session. This webinar is about all of us. We're about to talk and brainstorm and learn about accessibility testing. So make sure you ask as many questions as you want. You don't want me to talk the whole time. It got to be a collaborative session. Now, going back to our presentation, what is accessibility testing? So in simple world is basically accessibility testing is making sure that all the digital products is available for everybody regardless of their ability. So whatever you see, when I say digital products, it could be anything on your computer. It could be anything on your iPad. It could be anything on your iPhone. So if it's accessible to everybody, that means the accessibility testing has been successful. And it's not about being user-friendly. All of us think about that as, excuse me. Let's say I have an iPhone and it's user-friendly. I can see the screen and it's good. It goes a lot more than that. It's about voice command. It could be about touch gesture. It could be color contrast. All of that things considered as the application or the software is accessible to everyone. Now, why does it matter? What is it? Like a lot of you guys, for you, this is a new term. It's like, why do I care about accessibility testing at all? So it's not just a technical issue. Before we start getting into the technical and business world, is a human one. We all have loved ones. We all have family members, relatives, and friends. Somebody, the neighbor that we know that they suffer from a disability. And that could be any sort of disability. We dive into that as well. And if you're using a software, if you're watching Netflix or any sort of streaming channel, if you're playing a video game, if you're using any app on your phone, and you realize people that you care about and you love, they're not able to use it or they're not getting the benefits that you're getting from that, you feel bad and they'll feel outcasted. And we don't want that happening qualified. We just want to make sure that everybody's able to use that application, the software that you've been working on for months, maybe years to develop, and everybody's able to get benefit from that application. That's the most important reason that we care about it. Now, it does have actually some legal aspect and the business aspects of it that we just want to cover here. Now, in the United States, and I mean, of course, all the countries, but here in the United States, we do have Section 508 compliance. Now, what is Section 508 compliance? It's a law. It's a law that all federal agencies of government and their vendors and the companies working with them, whether you're a contractors, whether you're subcontractors, all of those companies, they must have their digital products and their IT and whatever is in IT world, it has to be accessible for people regardless of their ability. So it's a law. It's basically like filing your taxes, right? And I hope everybody on this call file their taxes. If you're in the US, you do not want to mess with the IRS. So that's exactly like the law. So think about Section 508 compliance as ADA, which stands for American with Disability Act for digital product. So we do not want to discriminate against the people with disability because, first of all, we want to include all the people. And second of all, it's a law. Now, who we're designing it for? Now, of course, so far, if you guys noticed it, accessibility is about people with disability. But what exactly is we define disability? Now, of course, you guys understand the people that have vision disability, any sort of physical disability or cognitive disability that we're aware of. But it's not just that. So I think my internet connection is, I'm getting a comment that my internet connection, I apologize if I go on and off, but I'm going to continue that. Hopefully it goes back. I apologize. You can blame it on Verizon Fios if you want to. Okay, so disability is going to be different type of disability. We do have permanent disability, right? And we do have short-term disability. Like a lot of us had a procedure, we do have any surgery, and we're recovering from that surgery and would like to use the software. Are we able to use our mouse and keyboard? Are we still able to see the screen and hear what's coming out of the speaker? Or situational disability. If any of you guys holding your child and using one hand, can you use the application or software? Are you able to actually use your keyboard and easily navigate the page? Or if you're in the loud room, that's a situational. You might not have disability, but if you're in the loud room for maybe a few minutes or an hour, you cannot hear properly. So that actually could consider as disability, and we got to make sure as people that test the application that is even for situational and part-time or temporary disability, we make sure that everybody can use the software, everybody can use the application. Now, I did say at the very beginning of this presentation, I'm not going to get too technical and I'm going to stand by what I said, but I'm going to dive a little bit, and I promise I will explain what it is, accessibility in SDLC. And some of you guys are like, what the SDLC is. It's software development lifecycle. So think about it. Any application, if you actually have your phone around, and if you go to any application that you want in your phone, right, you can just keep going around and look at any application on your phone. It had this process SDLC from the moment that someone came up with the idea and then planned it and then gathered the requirement and designed the application and test the application. That's what we do in Qualified, and deployed it to public so we can use. The whole process is SDLC, is software development lifecycle. So what does it have to do with accessibility? Accessibility is not just when you release the application and you wait for the users to provide you with feedback. From the moment that you think about the application, what it's going to do, what is this application? Who's going to use the application? What's the purpose of that? You got to think about your end user might have a disability. Are they able to use that application? So it's extremely important for you, those of you guys in the tech world, especially application development. You got to keep that in mind. It's not just testing. From the very beginning, you got to keep that in mind that your user might have some sort of disability, and are they able to use your product? So the business case of accessibility, now we talked about it a little bit. Now, accessibility is not just the ethical, it's the right thing to do. It's a business advantage. Now, some of you guys that might be in the sales team and the marketing team, besides the fact that we're doing the right thing, but you got to think about your brand awareness, about your reputation, about the more people can use your application, the more people can benefit from your software, the more basically profit you want to have, the more success you want to have first. And what success is, that brings you more profit. So this is something that you're not saving money if you skip that, but in long term, you want to make sure that accessibility is part of the process in your business. And now going back to that slide, I just want to bring up one thing. I've been in the testing world for long enough to see that a lot of companies trying to save some time, save some energy. We don't have time for that. Let's just figure out if the application is working. Functional is fine. Let's focus on automation. Let's focus on security. Accessibility comes later. And they might actually save some time and energy at the beginning, in short term, why not? But often in long term, in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, there are risks to not having your application accessible to everybody. There could be lawsuit. It could be lack of interest for people that not be able to use that, and people around them. If I know that my mother or my brother or my sister, they have a disability and they cannot use an application, I'll lose interest on use that application too. I'll seek the application that care about my loved ones. And it could be lawsuit. This is a very important one. We see a lot of companies these days, a lot of products that are facing that lawsuit, and they have to go back and start over again. And it costs them a lot more than the money that they saved from the very beginning. And if they actually included that in the very beginning, in the planning phase, in designing and testing phase, they would have never had those issues. And that is what becomes the risk of inaccessibility. So it's going to cause you reputational damage, legal consequences, and you don't want to deal with that. And you want to make sure from the very beginning of the SDLC process that we just mentioned what it is, to think about accessibility of your product. Now, again, I want to make sure that this presentation is benefiting everyone. I'm not going to jump into talk about regulation and tools and techniques that we're using. Now, of course, some of you guys might have heard of WCAG guidelines, which is nothing but a guideline that we follow to make sure that the application is accessible. As a tester, I have to follow that. And there are, of course, tools like, JAWS and color contrast and voiceover. And there are so many tools that helps us. But I want to bring up a basically point here that the best and the most accurate thing that you can do, of course, after using all of these tools, is user acceptance testing in accessibility work. What does that mean? Well, it means that if someone with disability come help us and provide us with feedback, that's the best way of approaching with accessibility testing. I know my user going to have some sort of disability. So instead of using and relying only on tools, which they're great, but after using tools, I need their feedback. I want to make sure that, is the screen readable? Can you navigate properly? I tested with JAWS. I know you can navigate, but would you please confirm and verify that everything on this homepage is perfectly readable, navigable, audible, and you're comfortable using that? Once you have their thumbs up, that means you're good to go. And if you only rely on tools, there's always something missing. And it's a very important piece of puzzle that unfortunately in the testing world, I see that sometimes people miss. Now, I brought all of that to the most important slide. Of course, I'm joking, but what is that magical place that brings the tools, knowledge, and expertise? And that is Qualified. This is what we do in Qualified. We make sure that we're not just focusing on functional testing and automation, performance. These are the testing that we're all aware of. We got to put people ahead of all of those basically testing. We got to make sure that everybody can use our application, and we're using the right tools. We're using the right guidelines, and we actually have great expertise in our testing team that they actually work with government, they work in manufacturing, they work with healthcare, they work with finances, different countries in Central, South America, and North America. And we're expanding our knowledge and expertise and making sure we bring more and more people to be able to use your product. You're spending so much of your time and energy to develop these products, and you want to make sure that it's accessible to everybody. So what is next? Now, we talked about Accessibility testing. I remember that one of my managers, when I started as a tester, um, he said accessibility testing is not a checkbox. It's a journey. We can't just do one time 508 testing and leave it. We just want to always think about how we're going to improve it. Now, we're not perfect. We're not seeking perfection, but we're seeking progression. It means we're constantly going to ask ourselves this question: is this software, is this application, is this page could be used by everybody with any kind of disability? And if the answer is yes, if we use all the tools, if we use every user's feedback, then we can move on. All right. And the last slide, it's accessible design is better design for everyone. We got to bring people. And if you're an individual, you got to care about people with disability, because they are minority, and it's important that we care and love that group of people. And it's going to benefit your business, and it's going to prosper your business, and all the hard work is going to get an amazing result. And the reason I kept this webinar short and simple is basically my favorite slide, which is the question and answer. So this is the time you guys folks are still on the call and could listen to me for over 15 minutes. You can actually go ahead, write your comments and question down below. It should be on your bottom right side, I believe. Again, this is my first time using this app, so go ahead and write them down. Otherwise, I will keep talking, and you do not want that. Okay, so I just want to give everyone a few minutes in case they have any questions. Oh, there's a question right there. All right. So, I got a question. What are the most common accessibility issues you found when testing applications? The most common one, that's a great question. I think the most common one came out of my way. It was using JAWS, which is a very common tool to use. And JAWS were not able to identify the entire field. Let's say you want to log into an application, you have your username and password, and JAWS completely skip username, even if you're using tab. Or also another one, I'm going to use the second one as well. It's JAWS were not able to read. You can hover over, but it cannot read it properly. So for someone that has vision issues, they rely on the screen reader, and JAWS is not able to actually read it properly. So it'll be very challenging for them to use the software. Great question, Ocher. Let's see. You're welcome. All right. So I just want to keep it open. And for those of you guys that are in the non-tech world, please feel free to ask. You can even ask question what it is. I missed the first part of the webinar, was about accessibility testing. You can define it again or tell me what it is. Please feel free to ask any question. No question is dumb question. They say no question is bad question, but I'm going to change it a little bit. All right. Let's see. So I want to give the audience about another 2-3 minutes maybe. And if there is no question, we can just wrap this up. Now, of course, it's going to be, this content is going to be recorded, and we're going to have them in qualified LinkedIn and qualified YouTube channel. So it's accessible for those of you guys that know someone will be interested. If you're on this call and think that one of your colleagues, one of your friends are interested in this topic, please feel free to share that as well. And then you can, maybe ask your questions and leave comment in those platforms. If it's LinkedIn, if it's in YouTube, we will be able to answer your questions. All right, we got another question. Let's see what we got. What are the best practices to follow to pass accessibility testing? Snehal, Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. That's a great question. So I'm here in the state of Maryland. It depends. It depends on the organization. We are based on testing on WCAG, which is Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, which is basically like the constitution of accessibility testing. So we base on testing our test cases based on WCAG. And so it has principle, it has guidelines, and it has severity. Severity is A, double A, and triple A. Some companies, some organization and agency only wants A. Some prefer double A as well. And some of them are very intense. Their audience, the people that use their applications, most of them are people with disabilities. So they want A, double A, and triple A in severity. So we got to follow that guidelines, the WCAG, all three of the severity. Great question. And next question coming from Carlina. Is there any source of information to start accessibility tests, like common test cases, use cases? Very similar to the previous question. There are so many sources online, information to start accessibility testing. Depends on your application. Depends on your application, who's using that. I would start again with WCAG. So I'm going to put that in the comment, WCAG. And I think the latest version is 2.2. I would start right there. And that is the first understanding of what are the guidelines, what are the principles. And you can apply it to the functional part of your application. Like you already have test cases, functional test cases, and see that, think about those test cases. Now people with disability are going to use that. Are they able to actually use that functionality just like a normal person just like a person without disability? We should not say that normal. We should say person that doesn't have disability. What are the most common accessibility level that companies aim to achieve? Gaston, that's a great question. I would say A and double A based on my experience. Now, some of the company, again, depends on the application. If a lot of people with disability using that application to go as far as triple A, but I've never seen they only stuck with A. They have A and double A. And I think I have Yanaina Lopez. Yanaina Lopez. And I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name. I'm really, really sorry. What tool do you recommend for accessibility testing? Any automated framework? I have never worked on the automation part, automation of accessibility. I'm pretty sure there are tools out there. I'm not aware of that, but I know what tools I recommend for accessibility testing. It depends on what parts. The most common one that is being used is JAWS, because we got to make sure that it's readable for people and it's navigable for people with disabilities. Now, then on top of that is going to be just voice command, gesture. And if your application has videos and audios, we got to make sure that they're actually loud enough for people with hearing problem, big enough for people to be able to see. It depends on the disability that the audience have. But the most common one that you start with is JAWS. Luciana, do you have experience testing apps or softwares that involve accessibility solutions for cognitive disabilities? I think that area will be very challenging. It is very challenging. It is very challenging. Unfortunately, I did not, excuse me, I've never had, I would say, the pleasure to work with those applications myself, because the application I've been working on, it was more like black and white. And by black and white means it has very basic functionality. So the accessibility testing didn't go very far. And now this is a good point you brought up, because if you remember in one of the slides, I said that we have plenty of tools. What is the best tool that we can use at the end is when we actually bring people with disability as testers, making sure that they verify people with cognitive disabilities and ask them, are you able to log in? Are you able to click on the radio button? Are you able to close this window? And that is going to be the best way of testing that. But I personally never had the pleasure to do that testing. Great question again. Hi, Solange from Chile. Solange, all right. One of the principles is that application must be robust. Yes, in fact. What are the main assistive technologies currently in use? The principle of application must be robust. Well, great question. First of all, great fact. Yes, it has to be robust. Robust, that word, that terminology that we're using has a lot of there are different ways that we can define that. It's a variety of ways. It could be a little in a gray area. So we got to be a little more clear. So we got to be like, what exactly would define robust here in our application? Application is ABC. And based on that, based on the definition, what are the main assistive technology currently in use? There are so many, again, the one that I've been using, and I've been working in federal government in the United States, I've been using JAWS in color contrast, because a lot of the application we use, it doesn't have a lot of videos and a lot of audios. It's not like the application you use on your phone. So JAWS in color contrast does the work, does the job for us. Fantastic question. David says app software is not for me. I give it a thank you. And great question, guys. Thank you for asking these questions. And I can say a lot of people on this call are actually technical people. And I both appreciate you guys asking this question. And I apologize that I kept it very high level. You know, I wanted to make sure that basically if our audience don't have any background in testing or even in the IT world, they'll be able to use that presentation, this webinar. But the questions are fantastic. Love them. Absolutely. Of course, Marie, I'm glad you liked it. Sorry, my internet was going on and off. And we have audience from both North and South America. Thank you, Ali. Oh, Ali joined the call. Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you liked it. All right. All right. So, I appreciate you guys joining. We just want to quickly wrap it up unless any other question comes up. Now, of course, if you guys have any question, you can reach out to us. We do have an email, info@qualified.com. Again, info@qualified.com. You can see our logo on top, QA, and you know what stands for, quality assurance. You guys can definitely reach out to us if you have any question, if you would like to actually pursue accessibility testing, you would like to dive deeper and even ask us a question about that. We'll be happy to answer your questions. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining.